Hi, it's Nell. I was a garden designer and professional gardener for 20 years, and I want to share with you 7 things for you to think about when planning your garden. There's one thing that I want to say before this video even gets going. The main part of it is that you should determine how much you want to spend. It's like anything. If you want a tricked out outdoor kitchen and you have $1,500 to spend, you aren't going to get it. For me personally, I used this California Gold Pebble because it was inexpensive. I couldn't have used anything like a polished rock because it was way above my budget. Now, on to the good garden stuff. Well, the first thing to think about is, how do you want to use your garden? Do you want to have a playground for your children? Do you want to grow food? Do you want to have a large area to grow food and enjoy that? Do you want a Zen oasis? Or do you want just perennial borders to enjoy, to look at the garden? For me, I wanted to actually sit out in my garden, and I wanted a low maintenance, drought tolerant garden that was really easy, but that would still bring a lot of nature into the garden. I have a lot of birds, butterflies, bees, and I enjoy that. I can sit out here, have my morning tea and evening beer, have friends over for dinner, and that's how I use my garden. And the next thing is the exposure of your garden. You should actually watch the sun and see how it plays in your garden for like at least a season or two, because that is going to determine a lot what you plant and also what you put in your garden. Because, for instance, if you have a pool, you might want it in a in a sunnier area. If you have an outdoor kitchen, you probably don't want a lot of pine trees around it to be falling into, and you want a little more light and sun in that area. And even if you aren't doing your garden yourself, you might be having somebody else do it. You might be hiring a professional, so these might be some things to cover with them too, to make sure that you're both on the same page with all this. The third thing, and very important, is the soil. The soil is the foundation for the plants. So you should have a soil test done first. It's very inexpensive. You can have one done oftentimes through your county, or you can find it online just to see if you are really deficient in anything or what type of soil you have. For me, my soil here is pretty loamy. It drains really well, so drainage was not an issue for me at all. But if your soil has a lot of clay, if it's really hard, if it has a lot of caliche, then you will want to do a lot of amending before you start to plant. Fourth, you want to break it down. If you have a large garden and you try to tackle it all at one time, it gets a little overwhelming. I did my front garden first, and then I did the side garden. It's totally different than this garden, totally different look. If you do it, if you try to think of it like one big piece, just think of it more in rooms, and then that will be more manageable for you. And the fifth is to address any issues you might have first. If there's any changes in topography, anything you need to move, any retaining walls you need to do that first. I had to put in a drain because there's a big hill here, and I didn't want the water to wash into my newly planted garden. Of course, that's back when we got rain in the wintertime. Any hardscaping, any buildings, of course, get done before the planting gets done. If there's deer, just think about that. Are you going to put in a deer fence? Or are there gophers? Any issues you might have, address them before you start. And the sixth, how much maintenance do you want to do on this garden? Or are you going to have somebody maintain, or are you going to do it yourself? If you're going to do it yourself, you might want to put in a little more hardscaping, or do plants that don't require that much maintenance. But that's definitely something to think about too, because some gardens take a lot more maintenance than others. Of course, if you have a pool, and the more plants you have, the more maintenance there's going to be. For me, I didn't want a lawn or any kind of a ground cover, so I did gravel. And the last thing is choose the right plants. If you have a sunny a sunny spot, choose plants that take sun. Don't just buy a plant because you like it. If you are choosing your own plants, somebody might be choosing the plants for you. But also pay attention to how big they are going to get, how fast they grow. Don't plant a vine right next to a tree because it's going to crawl up the tree and overtake the tree. If your budget is low, by the time you get to the plants and you've spent a lot of money on hardscaping, your budget might be almost already spent. So then plant plants in smaller pots. Plant them in like a gallon size rather than a 5-gallon. I, however, never planted trees in pots that were less than 15-gallon because trees are pretty small, especially in a 5-gallon, and you don't want your trees too small. So I hope you have found this helpful, and if I have forgotten anything, please let me know, or some things that you think about when planting your garden. I would love to hear them. And please subscribe because I have a lot more videos coming your way. Now let's get out in the garden and make the world a more beautiful place. And get out there and play in your garden. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.